Good morning. Happy Sunday, witches. Just cleansing my space a little while some people hop on the live. If you're new, I'm Harmony, Mystic Witch, sitting in front of my Yule altar here. I think that's all the candles I'm gonna light today. How is everyone on this beautiful Sunday? Hi, Anastasia, blessed be. Queen Lilith, blessed be. I'm doing good. I actually had a massive headache yesterday, so I'm glad to wake up this morning feeling good. How's everybody else feeling? How was the full moon for you last week? Hi, Tamra. You've been opening your third eye, but you're having trouble. Why do you think you're having trouble? I think sometimes we try to open our third eye, try to develop our psychic abilities too much, and what that really requires is living our life in a different way and doing healing work, because the more we heal ourselves, the more our body energetically functions the way that it is set up to. And really, as a woman born with female parts, like, you are extra intuitive. Like, that is the energetic pull of your body. Not that the masculine or people born with male parts aren't intuitive, but each portion of our bodies carries a different energy, and that energy in people born with female parts is just slightly different than those born with male parts. And so it is natural for us as women to be very psychic and very intuitive. And because of the patriarchal society that we have been born into and lived in, the witch wound is in our DNA. It's in our programming to live safely in this world, which blocks all of the feminine abilities like psychic and intuitiveness. Good morning, Marjorie. Good morning, Betty Jo. Everyone, like the live so we can get a few more people on here this morning. Thank you for being a moderator, Marjorie, and keeping our chat a safe space. Tanya or Tanya, good morning. So, trying to be really careful with the words I use so I don't get kicked off here, but just so everyone knows, I am putting all my live replays up on a different area. I'm trying to think of the words that they told me to use and not use, but the one that's a Y and a T. So if you want to watch past lives, they're all up there. Blessed be. I'm gonna open my blinds a little bit so we have a little more light. Good evening, Tracy. You must be in the southern hemisphere, I'm guessing. Thank you. It's not completely done. I'm actually working on drying some oranges to hang up there with the lights. That's my Yule altar. So I change this altar every season. It always feels good to change it to Yule. I don't know why. After Samhain with the ancestral energy, I then change it to this more, it just has more green, more life, more plants. I love changing it every season. It's almost like I get the energy, I don't know. I just like to change it. I'm kind of a aesthetic witch. You can probably tell that my aesthetic is a bit different than your typical witches. Do you think you troll much? So I was just responding to someone I seen in the comments being rude, but I actually don't do spell work for people. I teach witches to do spell work. And the reason that is because I believe the era where we do a lot of spell work for others has passed. That was an era during the burning times when all women were being accused of being witches and being burned, and they wanted to retaliate, and so they were reaching out to the witches for help. And in our modern day, there needs to be more of a focus on healing the wounds that are blocking your innate abilities. So I feel as a witch, I'm one of those witches that knows that I've been a witch. Like, my youngest memory is 5, and I wish I had more memories as a child. My husband, he remembers like every day as a child, and I have these significant memories that like I hang on to these specific memories. One of the youngest ones is knowing I was a witch and trying to find a book in the school library. I think I was looking for some sort of grimoire or something. I remember looking for a big book in the big kids section, wanting to find a way to retaliate against the principal at the school and the teacher who was whipping a boy. And the boy had done something that was wrong. He stole someone's wallet, but I still felt like, as a child, I remember that feeling of like, I didn't want him to be beaten with that paddle. And so that's like one of my youngest memories is wanting to save or protect him using that ability as a witch. Now, I was brought up in a religious household, but also like there was always this long-standing joke in my family that we were witches. But it was actually, looking back, and like it was legit, because before my great-grandmother died, she passed on the information that yes, we had these innate abilities that were born into us, but we were never to talk about them. But I always talk about them on my lives, because I believe the reason that she shared with me that we were never supposed to talk about it was because you would be targeted as, something scary. Nowadays, it still can be in our modern world, yes, but not like it was for my great-grandmother, right? So I choose to share that. I believe I have her blessing on that from the other side. And I know for myself, my abilities were born in me, and I believe we all have abilities that we are born with. If you are drawn or called to the craft, that is your first sign that you are a witch. People are often asking me what a witch is. How do you know you're a witch? But how do you know? And it's like there is this inner knowing and an inner draw within you that calls you to the craft, and that's how you know. And I believe to some extent, all little girls were doing like witchy things out on the playground, but you know, it is confusing. How do you know if you're a witch? And I always just tell people, if you know, you know. But I do believe the conditioning on our planet is so vast and so big. Like, the programming takes up so much of our brain capacity that I see how people can be confused. And for whatever reason, I was born knowing this, and also knowing there was power in me. That is something that I can't even describe or teach other people to do. But in everything that I do, I am guiding women back to their own power, back to the abilities that they were born with. And some of those are natural. Thank you for the gifts, you guys. Hi, She-Wolf Tarot. And there is no demonic tongue in the craft. That would be Christian mythology, not pagan mythology. And those that are actually practicing witches that are, thank you, Marjorie, that are more than the witches that are, you know, just dabbling. You know, there is a difference. And, you know, it makes me smile how much social media and the modern world has opened up to the craft. But at the same time, these things that we do in the craft, you know, a lot of it is mixed up. It is not necessarily, it is witchcraft because witches were originally pagan, but it's also like the way the people before the Christian conversion just lived their life. And so I think those ways are coming back, and it makes women feel witchy. However, are they casting circles? Do they have a connection with the elements? For me, this is the main, like the rooted foundation of the craft, is knowing the energy that you're weaving with and being able to command that with your presence. And the thing about healing is that if you do not do your shadow work on a significant enough level, that power to command energy, it's going to remain repressed. Sometimes I mix up the word repressed and oppressed. Repressed is something we repress things within us. I think oppress, wait, do I have that right? I'm always mixing that up. Being oppressed comes from the outside in. Blessed be Susan. Thank you everybody for commenting and hearting the live. And so anyway, I am really about bringing women specifically. I know there are men out there that are witches. Hi, Kelly. Haven't seen you in a while. Maybe you've been on the lives. Yeah, I think you were here last week. Oh, Kelly. I have two Kellys on here. She-Wolf Tarot Kelly and Kelly. Both are in my virtual coven and in my witch school. Thank you for your sweet words. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. If we do not heal, those abilities may exist within us. Hi, Rebecca. Blessed be, sister. You know, I love that you guys who are in the coven there, we have this virtual coven area where we meet, and there are, you know, some of these witches that are always active, sharing their homework on witch school courses they're doing. It's so fun. It's so great. And I love guiding women to their greatest power, because that's what's going to change the world. In fact, I'm totally going to go off topic, but kind of on topic. So this week I have been reading the book Not Your Girl. Have you guys heard about this? If you are a woman, like, this book is a hard to read book. It is about what the women went through on Epstein's Island, and actually the life of one of the women, and it brings in her previous life, her past history. And as I'm listening to it as a survivor of significant trauma, sexual trauma as a child and teenager. Even though I was not trafficked, my trauma is nothing. I mean, I don't want to label anybody's trauma, but what these women experienced was so horrific, right? That reading it, it was hard to read, but it was also like, wow, I can see on a minute level the things that happened to me speaking through her story. And as someone who has had to heal the things that this woman healed, and she unalived herself in March of this year. And I don't believe it's a coincidence that I came across her book. And as I was reading the preface, she spoke about wanting to get her message out, that there was this preface that, before she did that, she had made sure that people knew she wanted this book to go out, so that if it even helped one person, that, that it was, her life meant something. And, reading this book, it's through a lot of tears. Sometimes I have to stop and take a breath, but also at the same time, as someone who on a different level experienced similar things, I could see myself in her and know the truth of what she was speaking. And I feel like all women need to read that book, because as I read that book, what kept coming to mind was, how do these men become these men? It is heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking, and I have a son, and looking back, I'm like, did I do enough to make sure that, he had the best chance he could be to be different than, and I don't think nobody starts out on this planet innately bad or evil or sick. I think life happens to them. And so I just kept being left with this feeling of like, what has happened to these men when they were boys that made them such a threat to women? And of course, they were raised in a patriarchal society. So to some extent, that our society is giving them that power over women, and women are constantly pushing back and trying to take that power back. And for people to understand, I think the web that has been woven, that of illusion, books like this, Not Your Girl, even though it's hard to read, it is important to understand the whole of what is happening in our society, because whatever is happening in the collective and in our government, it's like it's all a mirror of each other. And so to be aware, I feel like, is super important. We had that Gemini full moon, and I feel like for me, what the Gemini full moon kept bringing up in my media, because Gemini brings out that, like, what's the tea basically, and being able to look at multiple different perspectives. And really what kept being brought back to me is these women that survived Epstein and the sick things that were going on there. And so that book being put in my feed, like, I immediately was like, I have to read this book. Hi, Eclectic Witch. Hi, Jenna. Good morning. And the more I've read it, I'm not completely through it, but I really feel like there's so much in there that is being exposed, and just us being aware is important, not getting too attached to it, right? But being aware, because the more the collective is aware, the more we begin to work on healing ourselves. And that I feel is one of the only bits of control we have in this crazy time we are living on this planet, because I believe there's really, in my lifetime, been this extreme push and pull between energies of trying what's going to rule the planet over this next age. And so we are at the bridge of this, and being aware is so important, but also not being drowned by it, not being taken over by it. So, and you know, there is like only so much that we can do, right? For like, we can't control, to some extent our energy is helping the stuff that's going on governmentally, but there's not a ton we can do there, right? But what we can do is work on healing ourselves. And so as far as witchcraft goes, this is part of why I feel like that witches that are teaching other witches should be encouraging, instead of doing the spells for them, let's teach them to do the spells. And the thing is a lot of these spells are being reached for because people want to take their power back, right? They want to have some sense of control. But the thing is that, you know, the witches of old, the real witches, because not everyone that was accused of being a witch was actually a witch. And I think that's why a lot of the people, when it came to certain things, would turn to the witch, because the witch lived sovereignly. Meaning, you know, I'm sure they had their wounds, but to some extent, they were in a space to be able to do that energetic work that people couldn't do for themselves. And that's why I think right now we need to teach not just how to do the spells, but how to work on your own energetic field and heal your own wounds so that you can be the one to take power over your own life. Because I believe you don't have to be a witch to have that control over your life, or to be sovereign, right? You don't have to do spells. There's different ways to manifest in our world. And being a witch is, you know, people often ask me, is it a religion that you're in? What is it that you do? Because, you know, I've heard more than once, I'm a leader of a witch cult. And okay, fine. Like, I've heard that enough that, like, okay, call me that if you wish. I don't believe what I am is the leader of a witch cult, because if you look up the description of what a cult is, they follow one particular leader, right? And I am not asking you to follow Jesus, to follow me, to follow anyone. I am inviting you to return back to center, to remember that the power exists within you. One of your coworkers told you we look like a cult. That's because what is programmed in their head a cult is, they don't know. They really don't know what it is. Blessed be Florence. Thanks for being on the live. Thank you, Kelly, for encouraging people to tap the heart, like the live. Thank you. But, you know, who is a witch? Again, back to that question, who a witch is. It's, you know, there is no one out there that is going to deem you a witch. Only you know if you're a witch. And that's why there's so many people out there that can just be like, I'm a witch, and it's confusing who the witch really is. But if you are a witch, or if you are aspiring to be a witch, please study the craft. And there are those foundational things. When you're doing spells, do you know what element you are weaving with? Because if you don't, it's more likely than not your spells aren't going to manifest, because you don't. That would suggest that you don't have a relationship with the elements. And that elemental connection is everything when we are weaving magic. And yeah, and you should know how to cast a circle, to command whatever that looks like for you, but to command a sacred space be protected. And, you know, what has dawned on me recently is that the more of us that know how to command a sacred space, the bigger the energy of sovereignty on this planet is going to be. And so it's very important that witches are, and this is something that I've done. I've always talked about this on all my lives, about like I cast a circle every morning lying in bed as a means of like to protect myself daily, my energy daily. So like in my head, I'm not like doing like the whole putting candles out and an item for each element. I'm talking about casting an energetic circle of protection and empowerment. What if all of us witches were doing that daily just in our home? Then everywhere we went on a daily basis, there would at least be this energy that is 9 foot wide, say, around us, that is this sovereign, empowered energy. Now, of course, this is going to trigger some people, but it's also going to allure some people in who are desiring to have that same power and level of control in their life. And so I really feel like that is an important thing. And I would say 90% of newer witches don't even know what casting a circle means, because of the amount of DMs I get about that, because it's something I do every Sunday. So yes, it's walking in your bubble of protection, but also empowerment. And so that's what's different than that I believe witches do than just a spiritual person, because you know, I've been taught by some spiritual people, you know, and even when we were younger, my little sister was a natural born medium. And so, you know, she learned very young to create this protective bubble around her, right? And this protective bubble, it's just visualizing a bubble around you that you are protected in. When you are casting a circle, you are commanding the elements that you are one with on this planet, that actually sustain life on this planet and create this planet to rise up and protect you. So do you feel the difference in that compared to visualizing a bubble? So this is why the casting of a circle for a witch is so much more potent than just visualizing a bubble, is because within that casting of the circle, you become a weaver of magic. And the weaver of magic is weaving the elements that are here on this planet. Because, you know, if there were some great atrocity, and I believe on some other timeline there has been, because there's been periods where I dreamed that. I've even seen different visions of it in ayahuasca ceremonies where, you know, I see that there's been this massive destruction on the planet. And so I feel like that in those times, if that were to happen, the witches that are practicing right now that might be running for a mortar and pestle, a piece of incense, and their tarot cards are not the witches that are really, they don't have the foundation of living as a witch, right? Like, it's cute and it's great that you're calling yourself a witch, but the importance in our modern days of, if everything were destructed, could you be the one to command the energy to protect a group of people, to protect your people? This is the type of energy that a witch who is practicing the craft and living her life as a witch, like every aspect of it, eventually, like, I love the altars, obviously. I mean, I've got 5 altars in this room that I'm sitting in. Like, I love the items, the haunted dolls, the chalices, the wands, the brooms, all of the things. But if everything were destructed tomorrow and it was just me, I know I could stand and create an energy of power that would protect, if that makes sense. And that protect, but also empower creation. So it's so important because every day we are giving more of our power away. The more, and I shop at grocery stores. I'm not growing my own food and stuff, but we really have given our power away in how to like sustain our own lives. If there were no grocery stores, how would you eat? If, there were no stores to buy clothes in, what would you do? And that's what I feel like, your connection and communion with the earth. Like, we can have a modern day version of that so that we can live our modern life, shop at the grocery stores, but we're aware, like, who are you supporting? Do you really want to be shopping at Walmart? Where are you shopping? What's your money going towards? Even your beauty products, are they safe for the environment? Are they not tested on animals? I was devastated this week because I found out the perfume I use does animal testing. So I'm gonna have to change perfumes when I'm out. But Miss Dior is actually on the list of companies that still does animal testing. So it's good to be aware of these things so we're not supporting the companies that are doing more harm to this planet. And then also to be able to garden so that if there were an atrocity, that we could sustain our life. My family might be living on a lot of tomatoes and zucchini because I seem to grow those really well, and herbs. Like, I can grow most herbs that will grow here in Arizona. So, and it's not for fear of there being this complete destruction and you needing to take care of yourself, but by doing these things like growing your own garden, that does give you the ability to take care of yourself if something happens. But it's connecting you to the elements. The more you are gardening, the more you are connected to the earth. And all of these small actions are actually creating a bigger energetic web of sovereignty. And the more we do that, things will have to be energetically matched. I was talking to a friend of mine that works as a medium. His name is Fernie, and we're always talking about what's going on the bigger level and the different dimensions and things like this. And we were talking this week on the scales can only tip so far before something has to happen, because it's the law of the universe that energy be matched. And so, the evil that is happening, there's gonna be an energetic backlash at some point. But also the amount of people, I believe, right now on the planet that want sovereignty and is tipping. The scales are tipping, and religion is beginning to crumble. People are not wanting religion the way that they used to want religion, and that's because religion and government they're the same. They are the same, and not everyone is in a place to be able to see that. But I say these things when I'm on my live to hopefully open up people who are on here watching, even not joining the live, but just watching from the outside, to start questioning these things within their own life. I have so many people quoting scripture to me on my posts on an everyday basis, and it baffles me how many people don't realize not everyone believes in the Bible. Like, you quoting your scriptures to me does not do anything. Do you realize when you quote scriptures or say God is good or Allah is everything or whatever it is you guys are putting, or the people that are religious are putting on my posts, it's like, do you realize you're a salesman? Do you realize that the church isn't telling you to go proselytize and get people to come to your church because they want you to save yourself and they want to save themselves? They want your money. They want your money because that's how the churches continue to thrive and go. Now, with witchcraft, I am here sharing the way I live my life, even in my schools of training. I, as a witch, am not like, you have to follow me. What I am doing is giving witches a foundation and opening them up to living their own sovereign life. Like, by them, you know, of course, it's a business for me, but I am not out here trying to proselytize to get witches, get people to turn witch. Like, I'm not on Christian pages preaching what I preach. I'm just on my page sharing my belief systems in hopes that the others out there, because we have been oppressed as women, as witches, as feminine for so long, that we've got to stand up and say, I'm a witch and this is how I witch, so other witches feel safe to do that. It's like going back to that book I was telling you I'm reading, Not Your Girl. It's like the more women that stand up and say, this is what happened to me. And I know there's the light and the shadow of the Me Too movement, but the Me Too movement is powerful because us as women, we have gone through the same things on so many different levels. And when one woman moves through the discomfort of being seen and sharing the hard, embarrassing things like that are in that book, Not Your Girl, it is helping the other women to see, I'm not alone in my pain. I'm not alone. You know, something she spoke about in the book is how she constantly kept her house clean and was buying new sheets and new towels and things like that. Now, I don't have a thing with buying new sheets and new towels, but I have had to work through that feeling of like, my house always looks like a model home, and I've come a long way. Like, everything's always pristine, nothing is messy. And that comes, I realize, from my past trauma and me trying to remain control. But she's talking about this in this book, and I've never heard another woman talk about this in this way, that feeling of being dirty in your past. There is a sense of control and like you're okay when your house around you is clean. And you know, these shadows, they like come through us in different ways, right? And for me, keeping my house clean, I used to, when my kids were young, I would stay up because I would work all day. I would get them from, you know, homework done, dinner done, and I would stay up till 11 to 12 o'clock at night vacuuming my house and making sure everything was clean and perfect, and, you know, toilets were cleaned. And it's like, I've had to work on coming to a place where I can let things go. But, you know, some things that I have never let go, like there is never a dirty dish in my sink. There may be like a fork accidentally left there, but if someone leaves it there, I quickly find it. And so, you know, this is just an example. So read that book. That is something, a message I really wanted to bring forward today, is that it's a hard to read book, because for me, it was hard to read because it hit a lot of past triggers that I was like, okay, how well have I moved through these? Because can I continue to read, or do I need to stop? Like, what do I need to do to care for myself? Because she is very open about what happened from childhood all the way through. So if you have not read that book, read it, because I think it's important to know the level of disgustingness that is on our planet, and by doing that, it's going to help you know where you stand and what you want more of in your life. So I've just been talking nonstop, which I do on these lives. You know what's funny is that me as a person in a big group of people, my introvertedness is very like present. It's hard for me to like, I don't know how you exert my voice, like speak up in group situations, but if I'm just talking, I actually have a lot to say. But most people think I'm quite quiet, and unless you know me really well, you probably do think I'm really quiet, because I am quiet in group situations and stuff. Like the people at my husband's work call me a mute, because unless You know, I used to drink back when we were younger, and when I drank, I was the life of the party. But when I'm not drinking, I'm very much a listener. So the name of the book was Not Your Girl. And there's a lot of women actually reading different portions of it on TikTok right now. So that's how I came across it. You know what? I believe Jesus was a witch. So, and you know, you don't have to, okay, you muted him. It's okay to mute, like, see if they're genuinely curious, you know, I'm willing to talk to them about things, but only block if they're a complete jerk. But I believe Jesus was a man on this earth. I don't believe Jesus is anyone's savior. I don't think, you know, I know a lot of people believe he can save them, but, you know, I don't believe that. I believe he was a witch, and Christians actually changed the narrative around what his message really was. And so, yeah, Christians are lost. So his message was so lost within Christianity. It's actually quite sad. So, not everyone believes in the Bible. And I know there are people out there calling themselves Christian witches, which is confusing people further on who a witch is. I don't doubt that those people calling themselves Christian witches are probably witches, but I also don't think they should be giving it a name, because they're basically teaching people to keep one foot in the broom closet and one foot out. You cannot be pagan and Christian at the same time. And yeah, I believe Jesus was a witch, and witches are healers. So, what Jesus is known for doing, he would have been unalived for doing that. So, if he wasn't a man, you know, I think that's why Magdalene got labeled a prostitute. Oh, thank you. I've been watching you for so long. You're so cool, actually. Thank you. So I'm not trying to get people to be a witch. I'm trying to help people in my lives understand who a witch is. So even if you aren't a witch and you're watching me, that you get a different perspective of who witches are. It's not playing with fire. It's only playing with fire if you believe in the Bible to be truth. Is any book 100% true? Any book? No. All books are people's perspective. And so why the Christians took this one book that was so well known to have been manipulated to control people and to support and back the conversion of pagan Europe, which became the pandemic on this planet of Christianity. So they teach the Bible like it's literal, and it's not. Hi, Tara. How do you feel about demonic magic? I don't think witches inherently work with demons, because I believe historically from my research, demons are actually a Christian concept. Now, are there witches that are demonologists? Yes. And as a witch, I would say the only one that most witches work with that is labeled a demon would be Lilith as a deity. But I also believe Lilith wasn't originally in that demon. It was she got I don't know enough about demonology to even preach it, but I know they demonized Lilith. And so witches are reclaiming her the same way they are reclaiming Jesus, Mother Mary, and Mary Magdalene. Like, the Christian church thought they got to control the narrative of who those people were. And that's why there's witches like myself who are saying, yeah, I know Jesus existed. He was a freaking witch. And so was Magdalene. And I believe a lot of the stuff shared through Bible and other stuff is likely it wasn't Jesus, it was Magdalene. And I believe both went to the temples of Isis and learned a lot there. And those were the gifts and the powers that they were using. Oh, I know demonic, I guess what you would call demonic energies are real, but I don't believe they are who Christians say they are, if that makes sense. So my necklace and my dress are actually my moon necklace, not this one. This one's an antique I share with my witch sister Stella, but this came from Killstar, and this dress came from Killstar. If you buy anything from them, make sure you tell them I sent you their way. But actually, I'm going to be on a documentary that's going to be on CNN and HBO Max, I believe, in February. So they came and interviewed me about that specific topic. And it's so important that we as witches differentiate Christianity from the craft, Christianity from paganism, and that people understand what that means, what that is, what that looks like. Because the Christians are telling people, and this is why CNN wanted to do a documentary on this, but they're telling people that there is this rise in exorcisms that has to be done. And the reason they have to do these exorcisms is because the witches are opening up portals and calling in demons and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, we're not working with demons. Lilith, you may have demonized her. I don't believe Lilith is a demon. She was a woman. And I do believe it's likely Lilith probably did live. Not all deities, I don't believe, lived. I believe they're rooted in some figure that a lot of them got morphed and, they used to use storytelling as a way to teach the people. They didn't have TV. They didn't have books. You have to think of our ancestors and how they lived, and the things that we're bringing forward, are the stories they told to teach the people. And they use those stories a lot of times that are around deities that could likely be another deity, if that makes sense. So like two deities that I honor that may be the same deity would be like Isis and Hecate. I honor them separately, but I've read enough to understand that, the Roman Empire came over to Egypt and, through battle and war and everything, overthrew the Egyptians. And so what they took back to Rome that became like Greek mythology and stuff, there was like so many practices and stuff that they gave different words to, and so many of the attributes of Isis are very similar to Hecate. And they call Isis she of 10,000 names, and the reason for that is because it's likely many of the deities that were said to have lived were possibly Isis, but they were changed in each culture to fit the storytelling that was happening there for the people to understand. And and again, that's books I've read, right? Because the pagan history is so whitewashed, and it's a problem because the Christians came in, and this is something most Christians don't know, but during the conversion of pagan Europe, when they unalived everyone, it was a choice to be unalived or turn Christian, turn Roman Catholic, right? And so historically, when you look at the numbers, and we only have recorded certain numbers of people, because not all women were actually in social status enough that they were actually recorded as being burned alive or hung or whatever. Because women were considered property, they would not document that you were unalived. And so that gives us, I know some people say it's around 100,000, but it's speculated it was way more than 100,000, because it wasn't documented, right? But I believe the number of people that were unalived during that conversion is so horrifying that is what that religion is built on. And all Christianity is built on Catholicism, honestly. Like, Catholicism is what became the Roman Empire, taking control of everybody. That's what it's rooted in. And yes, all the churches broke off and created their own, like, we're the Protestants, we're the Lutherans, we're the this, we're the that. And yeah, that happened, but they're all threads of that Roman Catholic Church, right? And so for me, it's like, saying that to, like, if I were to go into a Christian church, I always envision this and tell people this, it's like, there has to be enough people with the ability to critically think, like, do I really want to continue on with this? Because I think a lot of people go to church just for the community and the feeling of being good enough, because we're raised on this planet that is constantly telling us we're not good enough. And so we all have that wound where we are trying to be good enough, where we are trying to connect with that part of us that we know exists, that's more than who we are. But the thing is you can keep going back to church and you can feel the energy in the church. And so people call that the Holy Spirit, when that energy is just a collective energy of people that believe the same. So yeah, it gives you the chills because the energy is so big. You're gonna feel it, but it doesn't mean that it's truth. What it means is you are sensitive enough to feel the energy, that part of you already is connected to your soul in some way, shape, or form. And it's like, you can have that without giving the church your money. You can have that without being connected to a religion. And yes, community is gonna be hard when you decide to walk away from a religion, but I promise you it can be done. There are communities out there waiting to embrace you, even on social platforms. Like, I have created them, other witches have created them. And I have so many people in my witch school and in our virtual coven, and there's only a fraction of them that ever communicate in there. And I know that they want community, but it's so hard to interject your voice. Like I said, I have an issue with that. It's like, we want community, but we don't know how to do that, right? Because the only way we've been shown real community in our life is a church. It means following. And so I think it's like, how do I show up in this space that Mystic Witch has created for witches to come together when there's not a law or a rule or a way of being? It's just, I am showing up as me, as my sovereign self. And a lot of us have throat chakra blocks. Obviously, when I'm the only one speaking, I have no trouble speaking, but when I get in a group, it is hard to interject my voice. It's kind of a joke between me and one of the facilitators I facilitate with, because when the women are chit-chatting and I need to get everyone's attention, I'm like, hey Margot, like, get their attention. Because for whatever reason, even when I raise my voice or yell, it's like I just cannot do that in a group in the way that gets everyone's attention without it sounding like coming across as mean. Because I can do it, but it is like when I do it, my energy, from what I understand, my energy is intimidating, people tell me, or they perceive it as intimidating. And so when I raise my voice, then it's like, oh fuck, like she's mean. And so I have this like, how do I interject my opinion? Or how do I interject and get everyone's attention without sounding mean or, you know, like I'm attacking, because that's never what I want. But I have a powerful presence. Well, thank you. A lot of people tell me that. And I think that's, you know, part of why sometimes people, it's like I'm no different than you, especially you, Rebecca, because I see myself in you so much, because, you know, I'm very quiet like you, but I also see the power in you. And I, you know, that's why I'm like, hey, you and Marjorie both newer to the craft, but I can see the ancient witch in you that has been witches for many lifetimes. And that's why you're the priestesses in my group, because, you know, you don't have to be the loudest one in the room or trying to get everybody's attention for me to notice you and notice your power. So the power you see in me or feel in me, I feel in you. Thank you guys for all the commenting in the live, all the hearts. Everybody's hearting the live so much today. Thank you. Thank you for hearting the live. So who has a question to take me on down a different road? Because I feel like our topics are like all over the place today. It's like a mirror. I'm reflecting back your beauty. Yes, we are all reflecting something back to each other. So like when you find that your life is chronically negative, or you keep attracting, you know, these hard situations, there is a point where you have to stop and take some responsibility for the mirror life is sending you. And, you know, my husband pointed that out to me this morning, and I was like, you know what? You're right. He says, you start every morning about you talking about how terrible the algorithm has been to you on TikTok, and you don't know what's happening, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, and then you go to, okay, this is my plan. And he's like, you know, I'm going to start doing more videos. You know, everybody tells me I need to do more videos of me, and I'm, you know, I get cringy about doing that, so I don't do a ton of them. But starting my day with that mirror to the universe of the algorithm hates me, my followers or my community is not seeing my work, like, what am I gonna do, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. I'm like asking the universe to bring more of that to me. So now I'm committed. Starting tomorrow, I'm gonna start the day with the algorithm fucking loves me. And everyone that is in my community and follows me is going to see my work, because sometimes we need people to mirror back to us like, hey, you're doing this. Do you realize it? Like, I didn't realize I was doing that. And he's like, you always follow it up with something positive and what you're going to do, but you always start your day with those words. And I'm like, that is so awful. I'm going to change that. But, you know, since the algorithm for the US has changed, it's been rough on witches. You guys, I am trying myself to go and like other witches' work who, you know, there's so many witches that have less of a following than me that depend on TikTok for their livelihood. And the algorithm has changed so much that, you know, they're looking at having to get different jobs when they relied on tarot card readings and stuff like that. So, you know, we need to support each other as witches and you know, other witches that we trust, because it you know, it's rough out there, but we can change that by focusing on what we want more of, because we are that powerful. I am that powerful. I know that. So it's like, why am I wasting my time doing that? like waking up every morning talking about what's going on. The fact is that from August, from the Salem Coven retreat until now, I have had so much work on my plate that I think I've kind of gotten lost in the hurricane of it all energetically, and I need to get my feet back on the ground. Like, I had a sick cat, I lost my cat. Even if I look from June, I lost my dog in June. Like, there's just been so much. And so sometimes when life gets going like that, you have to bring yourself back to center. You need someone to say, hey, hello, you're doing something that's not in line with who you are. Like me, I haven't been putting enough time into creating content, and so I need to do that. I need to create content for you that helps educate you and open your heart, and I'm going to start doing that this week. Am I ex-religious? I was raised Mormon, so yes. I never, as a child, ever believed it. I think that's what's different about me than most people that I work with, is that the thing is, I never believed it, and so I was always considered a Jack Mormon, even from a child. And, Mormon, everybody's like, well, Mormon isn't Christian. Mormon is a form of Christianity, no different than a Lutheran or a Protestant or a Seventh-day Adventist or any other church that is out there. They're all Christian. They all consider Jesus their savior, and use that control to control people. Now, when I left the Mormon church, I was married at 17 to a Mormon to escape some traumatic things. I always had this thing where I returned to doing Christian things because I had that programming in me that was like, oh, things are going wrong in my life. I need to go back to church. Like, I'm screwing up my life. Like, and so there was always this questioning of like, because I'm not good, inherently good, my life is going wrong. Because I'm not inherently good, men tend to victimize me. There was that, and that always drew me back to going to church, because it was like, wow, like I thought I was doing it to myself because that's what the church told me, right? Like, I wasn't pure of heart enough. I wasn't reading my scriptures enough. I wasn't holding family on evening. There was like this list of things, and I would always return to them. Looking back, one of the things that always made me believe there was more was I had a child that was born with a heart condition. Her pulmonary artery was connected to the coronary vein, and it wasn't connected to her heart. Anyway, I might have mixed those words up, but anyway, because she was born with this defect, and I believe she was born with it because I took antidepressants while I was pregnant that they later found out had the same heart condition. But they didn't know that at the time, and at the time I was not going to church. And so when all of that happened, I had everyone around me praying for her, and it was like, this happened because I wasn't going to church, and so I was returning again to that faith. And that was the final time that I was like, I returned to that faith. I think I've gone through that bounce back and forth enough to where I realized this is not my truth. And going back to church doesn't help anything. But what it did remind me of was not the power of God to heal. Like, she had this miraculous healing. Even the doctors were like, do you believe in God? I thought they were going to tell me she died during surgery, and because they walked out and said, do you believe in God? And I was like, I just started bawling. I thought they were going to tell me that during this heart surgery she passed, but they were like, we went in and what we seen, like, it's not there anymore. It's gone. It's connected to the heart the way it's supposed to be. And we have all these, like, they were going back and forth, and all these cardiologists at Phoenix Children had looked, and they're like, if you believed in God, we'd say this was a miracle. I don't believe that was God. I believe that was my power, and it was her fate also. to remain here. And so, you know, a lot of people that go to church would have been like, they would have taken that as like their anchor into church forever, when that was actually the beginning of the end for church for me. I never bounced back again after that. It's been 20 years, and I divorced my husband, and totally uprooted my life and left the church and asked them to remove my name from their records, and was like, I'm gonna be a witch. But before I did that, I was going to different Christian churches around my community to find what I believed in, because I thought, because the Mormon church preaches, we are the one true church, I thought I was on a search for the one true church, when then all of a sudden one day it dawned on me, like, I don't have to go to any of these churches. I don't have to believe in any of this. I'm just going to be a witch. And the man I was with at the time was like, cool. Like, he was basically an atheist, so he didn't care. You know, he loved me, so he would go with me, you know, whatever I wanted to do. And so I do have a lot of knowledge on coming from a religious background and what that looks like in shifting your entire mindset. But I will say I had a little different of a outlook, because I had the programming but not the belief. Because even as a child, I was like, I don't get the feeling. Like, they tell you to pray in the Mormon church and you'll know it's true. I was like, well, why am I not getting the feeling? My sister has it, why don't I? You know, and I was taught to, you know, well, your parents believe it, your sister believes it. Okay, well, you trust them, right? Yeah, okay, so then you believe it. You know, I guess it's different for all of us. There has to be a reason why you're here watching this live, though, and even if you're Christian, because I think the people that are Christian that are drawn here, there's a lot of them, and I think that not all of you are here to be hateful and stuff. I think a lot of you know within you that what you believe in might not be right, so you're searching, and you know, the algorithm has picked that up, and so here you are. Oh, we're at 100K. Yay! Thank you guys for the 100K likes today. So when we reach 100K likes, I always cast a circle. Who on the live has been a part of my circle casting? Let's start there before we accept and receive. Is anyone here who's done, I know Marjorie and Rebecca are here, and Kelly, and they've been a part of my circle casting. Me, Betty Jo, Rebecca, Mommy Six, Presley, my niece is here. Hi, Presley. Do I accept DMs? No, I don't. Because there are DMs, but mostly all my DMs are full of like men asking me on a date, and Christian people wanting to hate on me. So I don't, pow wow wow. I'm glad the algorithm brought you here, sister. I don't read them because there's too many. Every once in a while I'll go through them, and I'll, you know, just try to see if there's anybody who's legit in there, but more often than not, I don't. I'm a woman, not a hater, though Christian. And that's fine. Thank you for being here and open and willing to hear, you know, my message. Not that I'm trying to make anyone a witch, you know, like I say, I'm just trying to open people's eyes that are Christian to what's happening on this planet and how we've gotten to where we are. So casting a circle, an energetic circle, I look really orange because of the light coming through the window. I just realized that. Anyway, oh my my gosh, that light. So when the light, this time of year, I struggle with the windows in my house. There. Because they shine, the sun is so low, they're like shining in my windows in this really crazy way. Anyway, so we cast a circle, back to that. So when I get 100K likes, which we've got, thank you for the likes, I cast a circle. And what that circle casting looks like is a guided meditation. And what it does is, I'm gonna sneeze. What that energetic circle is very similar to the circle that witches cast when they're doing spell work to protect themselves. However, I do it as a guided meditation with no props, no candles, or anything like that. It is an energetic protective circle that you can accept by in the chat or out loud, wherever you are, saying yes, thank you, I accept, I receive, and sitting in a meditative position, sitting up with your spine long, or lying down on your back with your spine long and your palms open. And by saying yes, thank you, I accept, I receive, I claim, this is telling the energy that you are claiming this circle that I am casting of empowerment and protection. Now, I cast this circle as a, it will be open, it will be sealed from the moment we seal it, right? And then it, until you go to bed tonight, it will open when you go to sleep tonight, but it's not broken. And because it's not broken, what happens is the wisdom from being in the higher level planes of consciousness, which is what I command during this circle casting, is that we lift the space up to the 7th and 8th plane of consciousness, that you'll have a different level of consciousness for today, which opens up your channel, invites in wisdom for the following week, for connection to soul, connection to higher self, and that wisdom continues to funnel in during the week ahead of you. So by doing this, you are saying yes to these particular deities that I consider to be keepers of the circle that I call in and cast in each direction. So I'm not calling on any demons, to keep it clear. I am calling on the elements, earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. I am calling on the elements, north, south, east, and west, and the cross quarter points, northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest. And then I'm calling a deity to stand guardian at that gate. And so we call in Hecate, Bridget, Isis, Rhiannon, Anya, Mary Magdalene, Caradwyn, and Aradia. We also call in the ancestors that walk with us in a good way, the Fae, the elementals, the gnomes, the Earth Mother, the star brothers and sisters, and we call in our higher self. And by doing this, you're creating this circle of empowerment. Now, I consider the deities archetypes that exist within me. And so I am calling forth that energy that that particular deity has, the most empowered energetics, attributes about that deity to rise forward and hold space in each direction. So what we're doing is creating this powerful energetic circle of elements, of connection to the elements, of connection to these sovereign deities and their attributes that maybe we haven't fully embodied yet in this life, but we know they exist within us. You know, the ability to be the mother of your life, of yourself, to be that parent you needed, to be she of 10,000 spells, she who remembers her lives and her past and the spells that she has done in multiple lives, to remember the sovereignty of Rhiannon and her story, and all of those parts of you will be amplified that exist within those deities we are casting and calling in each direction. And so that's why I cast this circle and invite you all to be a part of it, is because the more of us that can remain in this sovereign state, it's really building an energy that is going to have to be matched by the universe at a certain point. So, you know, I do this for myself on Sundays, but I also do it for all of you because I believe it's helping the collective in a way for all of us to come to that beautiful energy of unconditional love, of sovereignty, of unconditional empowerment, of self-trust, and opening the doors to healing that we need. Now, we're casting this circle during a waning moon, meaning the energy of the moon is of complete destruction. It's letting go of the old. This was the final full moon this last week of the year. And so as the moon wanes, it's literally squeezing the energy out of us that we don't align with anymore. And as witches, you know, so often we're casting these spells to like, I'm giving it to the fire, I'm giving it to the fire. What no longer serves me? I'm giving it to the wind, I'm giving it to the water, giving it to the earth. But are you changing your actions? Because you can give it away all you want to the fire, but if you aren't following it up with those actions, what you get during the waning moon period is more aha moments of the wound that you're trying to give away. So notice what's coming in, you know, what's been present for you as the moon wanes. So for me yesterday, I had a massive headache. And I have I'm always dealing with some health issues and how to balance those health issues. So I'm always giving away to the fire on every full moon. Like, I'm giving away these health issues, and then I get a massive headache. And it's like, okay, I'm obviously going too fast. And the universe is like, okay, you're giving it to the fire, but you're still going 100 miles an hour, woman. So I'm going to give you a headache so you slow your butt down and see that for you to really give this away to the fire, you've got to stop running too fast. You've got to stop over using your head so much and trust your channel more, you know, which is a hard balance for someone that's a creator on TikTok, right? And a creator on Instagram, and like you're working with your intellectual knowledge to create and write emails and create content. And yeah, I also know, Margie, just keep in mind, like, there is also like combination here. Also, the Schumann resonance, from my understanding, has been really wonky, and that causes headaches too. But I also know what I gave away on the full moon was health issues that prevent me from doing what I want to do. So I don't believe my headache was a coincidence at all. I believe it was one of those things that was like, okay, yeah, you gave it to the fire, but are you willing to change anything? So I literally laid on my couch all day long yesterday, which is really hard for me. I am not a lay on the couch all day long person at all, but I needed that. So anyways, back to casting the circle. We are going to cast a circle. I cast this circle every Sunday, and I'm always here on Sunday doing this. So I'm gonna bring this camera back center. I'm gonna grab a drink really quick, just so you know what we're listening to in the background. Is it too loud? I never asked that at the beginning. The music might be too loud. I'm sorry if it is. No, it's good. Okay, so it's binaural beats to help with psychic awakening. I thank you, Eclectic Goddess. Yeah, I need to drink something. Yeah, binaural beats. If you guys, like, anytime you're not doing anything, play binaural beats. It's so good for you. And that's why I play it during my live, is because I really believe it helps all of you and also me with the collective energy while I'm on the live. Thank you. My balance of music and voice is perfect. So get ready. If you need to get a drink, get a drink. Find a place to lie down or sit up where you are straight from your sit bones all the way to the crown of your head. Palms will be faced open. You don't want anyone in the room to disturb you. If you need to, put headphones in and you'll be closing your eyes. The only thing I ask you to do is when I come to each direction, I will say, bless us as we call your name, and then I'll announce the deity's name, like Hecate, and then together we'll say out loud in your space, you'll say Hecate, 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 and that is invoking her presence into your space and creating also that bond or that connection energetically further, since we are not with each other. I do this when I am alone. This is just the way I cast my circle. But I really feel it's important when we're doing it virtually that you are saying, when you're not virtually, it's that because you are accepting this circle casting as yours as well as it is mine, you're doing that by saying their name out loud. And Ken, yes, you are more than welcome to join in. You've always been respectful on the live. I appreciate that. What protection are you telling them to use? We are creating the protection by casting the circle. So the circle is the circle of protection, and you'll see as we go through the guided meditation, in the beginning I call forth circles of light, and this is the initial like commanding of protective space that you are in. So find yourself a space, get a drink of water, get ready to close your eyes and lie down and be undisturbed. It'll take only about 15 minutes, 20 minutes max. And when we're done, I'll have you open your eyes, and I would love you to come share in the chat anything you experienced and what you're feeling, anything you've seen, heard. All of that is welcome here. So I'm gonna grab a drink of water and we will get started. I feel bad whenever I do that. I lock my dogs out because I don't want the barking, if they happen to bark, to get in the way. All right, so out loud or in the chat, if you are going to be a part of this, hi Beatrice from Italy, you need to type in the chat something that is declaring you are accepting this circle casting as yours. Thank you, I accept, I receive, I claim, whatever it is you want to type. And you are welcome to cast the circle as yours by doing that. Thank you, Margie, for doing that. You also have the option to just sit and witness what this circle casting looks like. If you're curious, I welcome you to stay as long as you are respectful. So thank you for tapping and writing in the chat that you accept, that you are receiving this. So we're gonna go ahead and begin. I'm just gonna close my eyes here. I'll wait. So everyone is tapping, writing in that they accept. Thank you for accepting in the chat. Accepting with your mind. Beautiful, Rebecca. Accept. All right, so I'm just gonna have everyone who is accepting this circle casting close your eyes right now and allow your breath to settle. So letting your breath become fluid and just relaxing and surrendering every part of your body, making sure that your legs are not crossed, your arms are not crossed, your palms are open wide. If you're lying down or even if you're sitting, letting your feet hang heavy, softening and relaxing the legs that move you forward, softening and relaxing the hips, the pelvis, softening and relaxing your belly, softening and relaxing and opening your heart by lifting your shoulders up toward your ears and rolling them back and down your spine to open the heart further. It also opens your arms as your angel wings, I like to call them. I don't really work with angelic figures, but I believe we are all the angels of earth. So opening up your angel wings, softening them. Relax your jaw, in your throat. Let your eyes become heavy in your head. And if you'd like, during this circle casting, maybe taking your inner gaze with your eyes closed into a cross-eyed position. What this does is help awaken the third eye. And you can do it softly, don't over-focus so you're giving yourself a headache. We're just coming into this fully body-aware state. So taking a deep breath in here, in through the nose, sealing the lips. Fill the entire body up with the breath. When you get to the top, I want you to check in with your body and soften everything that created tension. And then take in one more sip of air and open your mouth and audibly exhale. Squeezing at the bottom of the exhale, your abdominal muscles to expel any stuck, stagnant breath. Pause with no breath in the body. Then seal your lips and take a deep, quick inhale through the nose. Fill your whole body, lift with this quick breath. Take in as much air as you can. Hold at the top. Take in one more sip, one more sip, one more sip. Now notice where you're holding in your body. For me, my shoulders become tense. For me, my legs, my calves become tense. So relax those parts of your body, then allow your lips to part and audibly exhale. Pressing all the air out. This time, seal the lips, slow inhale through the nose. Notice the air moving through all parts of the body. By your awareness coming to each part of the body, your hands, your elbows, your knees, your feet, feeling the air as it moves through your nose, into your throat, into your lungs. Allow your belly to extend with this inhale. Whole body fills up with the breath at the top. Part your lips and sigh it all out. And now sealing your lips and allowing your breath to return to a nice natural rhythm and state for you. So by allowing this fluid breath to return, you are inviting life into your life. As I call forth concentric circles of light to surround us now, each one of us individually and all of us collectively. These circles of light will show up individually, different for each of us. Allow these circles of light to show themselves to you. Without becoming attached to them, become aware of them, not questioning what they would mean, noticing them as these circles of light create a sovereign space that you find yourself in the center of now. See yourself sitting in the center of this sacred circle of light. Feel the root chakra of your body, right at the base of your sit bones. There's an energetic cord of light that is red, drops deep, deep, deep into the earth. Feel this cord as if it is plugging you in to all that gives you life here on this earth. Also connecting to the light, the silver light of thread that moves from your crown chakra all the way up into the heavens, connecting you to the stars, to the sun, to the moon, to the planets. And now pay attention to the palms of your hands, which may be feeling the connection to the elements all around you in each direction before we've even casted them through this circle of light that surrounds you now. I call forth the guardians of the watchtower of the north, south, east, and west. Guardian of the north, keeper of earth. I call forth and invoke the spirit and the element of earth, keeper of the keys, keeper of the crossroads, mother of witches, she who holds the flame of light in the darkness that exists within this planet now. She who holds the flame of light, the torch of light in the center of your heart that radiates out and around you. During this darkest days of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, this deity's strength and power to hold this mantle of light connects you to not only the earth, but to the moon. Today, she is showing up with her guard dogs, surrounding this sacred circle. She's handing you keys to unlock the doors that exist before you now. Bless us as we call your name. Hecate, 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 Hecate. Guardian of the Northeast, keeper of the rising sun and the sacred wells, bless us as we call your name, while anointing all that are in the sacred circle with your healing waters upon their crown, to awaken the connection to ancestors, to earth, to water, and to fire. Bless us as we call your name. Brigid, 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 Brigid. Guardian of the East, she of 10,000 spells, she of 10,000 names. She who awakens the hearts and the magic within thousands. She who is shape-shifting, igniting the shapeshifter within you, igniting the power within your body to shift, to expand, to grow, and to trust the expanding shape that you are shifting into now. This deity is here to remind us today that yes, we have been conditioned to not change, but that the wind and the air, the spirits of air, the element of air that we invoke now, call in change. That we must not turn our backs to this change and push against. That we must invite and accept and claim and receive the energy of the change that we are calling in. Every day challenging yourself to shapeshift further as she does. She is igniting the wings from the base of your spine as she drags her fingertips up your spine on either side, awakening these angelic-like wings that exist within us all, energetically opening the heart both front and back through this expansion and shape-shifting that happens within all humans from time to time. Bless us as we call your name. Isis, 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 Isis. Guardian of the Southeast, keeper of sovereignty, deity who rides on the winds of change, fire blazing the hoofs of the horse that she rides upon, claiming her life, birds following in her trail. She rides, her hair blows in the wind, the dress that she wears flowing in the wind behind her. This deity acknowledges both shadow and light that exist within her and chooses to remain sovereign and awaken the sovereignty in you by calling her name. Bless us as we call your name. Rhiannon, 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 Rhiannon. Guardian of the South, keeper of fire, I invoke the elements and the spirits of fire. Queen of the Fae, she that knows love is the way. Joining us today in the South, sacred deity that stands straight across from Hecate in our circle. These two powerful deities stand straight across from one another, igniting their power, their unity of light and dark, realizing they are both one side of the same coin, one half of the same whole, and that you too are allowed to be all of this in one. Both the darkness and the fire and the torch and the flame that exists within the darkness of creation. This deity awakens the oppressed, conditioned, programmed DNA that exists within you. She is the passion and the fire within you that creates change, sometimes through destruction. Her love is self-empowerment, self-protection, boundaries. Bless us as we call your name. Anya, 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 Anya. Guardian of the Southwest, keeper of mystery, awakening the hearts of the mysterious, of the witches who've spent lifetimes and lifetimes empowered with sovereignty or longing for that sovereignty while hiding at crossroads, hiding at dark alleys, hiding in churches and temples, until you came into this life to reclaim who you are, regardless of what others see you as, regardless of what the world has labeled you as. This deity awakens the part of you that is ready to stand forward in this lifetime and say, this is who I am, and to live that sacred life. She has hidden throughout the centuries and the thousands of years, just as the witches have hidden to keep their legacy alive, keeping their heart and their knowledge and their wisdom alive in the hearts of those who were willing to see beyond the conditioning, the programming, and the wounding of this planet, Bless us as we call your name. Mary Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, Mary Magdalene. Guardian of the West, keeper of water, I invoke the element and the spirit of water, keeper of the cauldron. One of our deities that shows up is the mother, the creatrix, the compassion. She's showing up today with her sacred cauldron, lit by the fire, showing me the earth beneath the fire and the flames and the smoke around this cauldron, and showing me within the cauldron. And she is inviting you to look in this cauldron, because we are in this time now where the sacred cauldron within your womb space or your hora is being awakened. The alchemy begins in these sacred weeks as we lead up to winter solstice. So she reminds you that what you put in the fire beneath the cauldron will burn away, but what you place within the cauldron will grow in this next cycle of the sun and journey of the sun. So placing in these days and weeks to come within the cauldron all of the things that you wish to grow, as this water will bubble and shapeshift and alchemize those seeds, those ingredients that you are placing in the cauldron into a form of beauty, into something this next year will bring for you that maybe you have yet to see the complete vision of what it will become, but you know the ingredients. The ingredients are your passions, your desire, and she reminds you that those are what go in the cauldron. What goes in the fire beneath the cauldron gets burned away. So awaken the water within your cauldron with ingredients, sacred ingredients. Take this moment now to see one ingredient that is coming into mind as a wish, a hope, the seed that you wish to plant within this sacred water that will alchemize into the life you will live next year, which will take off quite quickly. Bless us as we call your name. Caradwin, 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 Caradwin. Guardian of the Northwest, weaver of our sacred circle, queen of the witches, witch of the oppressed, connected to the Divine Mother, pouring wisdom of the Divine Mother onto our planet through the sacred web that she weaves for us on this day and every day. She who has interest in seeing the oppressed rise up. So she is feeding this sacred web that she weaves today with the powers from many, many lifetimes. Not the wounds, but the powers that have existed within you, that you have embodied, that you have learned over every single lifetime. She ignites today so that you can feed this sacred cauldron with the witches, with the wishes that you as witches wish to see manifest on this planet. Some that you do not know what they are yet, but your higher self and your oversoul do, because you came here to be a part of this rising of the oppressed, of the underdog. You are braver, smarter, wiser, and more powerful than you realized. But as she weaves this sacred web sealed today, you will know this within every part of your being, activating your soul purpose and mission as she seals this sacred circle today. Bless us as we call your name. Aradia, 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 Aradia. from beneath us, we call forth our loving Earth Mother to rise up and support us as she always does, nurturing us, supporting us, feeding us, giving us more life every day, unconditionally. We call you forth and give you our honor and praise for giving us more life even when we've neglected you, and vow in this moment to connect our bodies, minds, hearts, and spirit to all that nurtures and feeds not only this body, but our soul and this life here now. We call forth the ancestors that walked this earth before us, each of us, no matter where we live on this planet, honoring them that walk with us in a good way from the ancestral planes. Those that's powers were stripped of them, those that have not received the honor, the praise, and the respect that they deserve, and we offer that to you now through the ancestral planes. As we call those that walk with us in a good way forward, we also call forth the ancestors from our lineages, individually, sovereignly, and collectively, that walk with us in a good way. As we do all that we do on this planet for self, we do for the ancestors and the collective. We call forth the Fae, the elementals, and the gnomes, the protectors of the Earth Mother. From above us, we call forth the star brothers and sisters, the planets above us, around us, both the sun and the moon. We call your energies forth to create the top of our sacred circle and keep our channel open as we lift the consciousness of this sacred circle, bringing your hands to heart center, your left hand on your heart, your right hand over it, or in prayer position, as we call forth the entirety of our heart's existence, first acknowledging the inner child within us to step forward from the recesses of the back of our heart, coming forward to the front of the heart as our creative genius, the inspired one, the one that remembers all of who we are before the world conditioned, programmed, and broke their spirit. This part of you is ready to awaken, to be part of what is leading the way. Seeing them arrive before you in this sacred circle, and you open your arms and see this vision of yourself as a child, trust you enough to walk forward, wrap their arms around you, and hug you, and you are hugging them back. You are welcome, little one, in the center of a sacred circle of our life. We call forth the I Am presence of each individual sovereign being in the sacred circle. We call forth the collective I Am presence. And as we do, we lift this circle up, up, up to the 7th and 8th plane of consciousness, where divine knowing and miracles take place. We ask that the 7th and 8th plane of consciousness within the circle of protection will remain open until we lie our heads down to sleep, protected, inspired, and empowered by the elements and the deities that we have called forth on this day. And we invite the embodiment of all aspects of these deities' positive qualities, empowering qualities that exist within us to rise as well. And as we do and lift this circle up to the 7th and 8th plane, we now integrate, adjust to this plane of existence by taking a deep breath here. This circle is now sealed. As above, so below, as within, so without, As the universe, so the soul. This circle is now sealed until we lie our head down to sleep tonight, when the circle will be open, but never broken. Blessed be. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold that breath in. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes and parting your lips. Long, slow exhale out the mouth. One more time. Deep inhale in. If you can, I want you to reach your arms above your head. Point your toes, tighten and tense every part of your body. Scrunch up your face. Take in more air, more air. Breathe in. And exhale, let everything release. Open your eyes. Rolling your head around, blinking your eyes open. Coming back into this time and space, here and now. I invite you to come into the chat and share. Blessed be, Marjorie. Share all of anything you want to share. Just so you guys know, Margie and Rebecca are priestesses in the virtual coven. Blessed be, so mote it be. You can share colors of light, feelings, anything you sensed, seen. Maybe you want to share what you seen move forward into your cauldron. You saw white light. I love that. Blessed be Betty Joe. I felt Anya. I felt Anya's presence really, like I was visually in, when I'm casting those circles, I'm sharing what I'm seeing. And I was seeing this clear image of Anya standing directly across from Hecate. It was so powerful. The two of them today, right now. Wow. Yeah. Thank you. This pentacle is actually an antique. I believe the woman that made it was over 100 years old. My beautiful sister Stella from Spirit Space Collective. My soul sister, she got us each these two sisters. She made them for this little shop in Boston. So she got us each the only two that existed. So they connect us because she lives in the southern hemisphere and I live in the northern hemisphere. I saw a bright white light today. It was so beautiful. It sounds like a lot of people were seeing white today. That's so beautiful. It kind of reminds me of that like wintry energy. Like we so think of the dark in winter, but also think when it snows, that bright light when it snows. It's almost like you can feel, if you live anywhere where there's snow, I know you know this feeling, like I can feel that it's snowed before I even open my eyes. And it's like there's this stillness, this quiet, and when you open your eyes and walk outside, it's brighter than the noonday sun after it snowed. Right after it snowed, it's like everything glows. I saw white and got chills, as you called each one. Beautiful. Hello, Ronnie. I cried and felt them so much. That's so beautiful. Brooms, red, yellow, and bright light. Was that circles or crickets? I felt a little lighter, cooler, then warmer, and was so calm. I kind of felt that myself too. At part of that circle casting, I became really hot. And that is really common as the energy is shifting, just so you know. Usually the cool light is feeling like some sort of spirit enter. It's my first time doing a circle with you. Well, thank you for being here, Yankee Chick, and being open to doing it. I started out cold and then felt warm and saw sunlight shining. Oh, I love that. Do you guys listen to Florence and the Machine? Her song, Sympathy Magic, the sunlight shining you're talking about reminds me of that. Haley, first time doing a circle too. Blessed be. I teach this in my witch school, just so you know, in Way of the Witch. because I want you to be able to do this for yourself so you don't have to depend on me. But thank you for being here on Sunday. What was I talking? I totally lost. That's why I try. Sometimes, like, I love to connect to the comments, but I lose the Sunlight and Florence and the Machine, Sympathy Magic. Like, I've been playing that song in my car, like, on repeat over and over for the last, for a while now, because the part of that song where she says that the sunlight glimmering through the window, just so touching her fingertips, is the only God she knows, and it doesn't ask her to be worthy, to be down on her knees. Anyway, that song, like, for me, touches every part of my heart, because for me, the only masculine deity that I honor as a masculine source is the sun. I only work with the female deities, and because a lot of the male deities, historically, most of them, are predators in their stories, and so I won't work with their stories because they're not good. But I'm sure there was good in them, but I've had enough masculine influence in my life, so I always work with the feminine deities. But also, even in my Way of the Witch course, like, one of the first classes is connecting to the earth, but also connecting to the sun. And that's because for me, the sun is my only my connection to those masculine elements is the only God I know, because I refuse to believe in any, there's a little gnat flying around me in here, only God that I know. So when I listen to that song and she's like, the sun shining through the window, just so the only God I know, like, that part of the song just, like, touches every part of my heart. Yeah. I think also because my father in this life has failed me, as well as my mother. But, when we take the expectations off of our parents to be perfect and just allow them to be people in our story, and you release those expectations of them being something for you, it allows you to open up space in your heart to see the aspects of your creator source. So for me, I kind of think our source is probably genderless, but I choose to honor the feminine as the creator because it makes sense to me, because women give birth, and so why are we saying men would give birth to a planet when women give birth on this planet? Blessed be. So in its oldest form, witchcraft is goddess worship, they say. Now, I don't worship any goddess. I honor them, not worship. I believe worship is I don't worship anybody outside of me. I believe actually the goddess, the divine mother, our source, is part of us, inherently part of us. Oh, and speaking of that, if you are watching Stranger Things, I already ruined it for Marjorie earlier this week when I was telling her how excited I was. So plug your ears if you haven't watched the final one, but I love Stranger Things. At the end, where Will realizes his powers, it's so cool because he's realizing his powers come from outside of him, from the monster. What's his name? I can't think of his name. But his power is internal. It's been with him all along, but it was also his connection to the monster, right? Which so reminded me of like my purpose on this planet. Like as I was watching that, I was like seeing all the women that come to my retreats, that come to my school, because it is my hope that you are all will in your life and your story by working with me, by coming to my retreats, by doing my witch school, that you realize your will. And that power, it's not because you're connected to a demon or a monster, but the divine mother, the goddess, has been demonized. And I don't know if the monster is going to end up to be evil or not, right? So he may be evil. If he's evil, then, but this is what I was taking from it in that moment. Like the power existed within him, and that power was connected to this source, and so I was kind of creating it to be my own thing, but I was like, yes, I just was like seeing Marjorie and Kelly and Rebecca and Betty Jo and Erin and Lola and all of these women that I have worked with. And it was like, yes, this is why I am here on this planet, is to remind everyone that they are will, that you can be whoever you are, and that you can embrace, like, once you realize, once you believe you have the power within you, like, it's gonna radiate all around you. You got the same message? I love that. I love it. I totally spoiled it for Marjorie this week. I don't know, I randomly was like, Marjorie, I've got to tell you this. And then she's like, yep, I've watched it all but the last scene. And I was like, dang it. Yeah, I haven't asked, I gotta ask Stella if she's watched it. I don't know if she's watched it. But anyway, do you guys have any more questions for me? I have a little more time. I can stay live with you today if you have questions. Witchy wisdoms and blessings. Share your color. AI summary. What is AI summary? You finally watched it and loved it? I think I'm gonna watch it again. On Christmas, they release 3 more, and then I think on New Year's they release 1 more. Haley Nickerson, no, I didn't see your comments. Sorry, sometimes I don't see them, so if you can repeat it. If you guys have a question and I don't see it, Marjorie doesn't see it, please repeat it. Yes, American Horror Story, of course. I have to love the one, The Coven, like love, love, love. I didn't watch really a lot of the other ones, but I did watch Coven. Any advice on protecting children with spell work? Marjorie, can you answer, it looks like Dunya? Because I can't say those words on my live, because I would answer that question, but I do teach classes. I just can't share how because it's been kicking me off of my live. So I'm trying to be better about letting my moderators do that for me. As far as protecting children, so something you can safely do that I did for my kids, especially if your children have a lot of intuitive abilities, they have a lot of dreams. Like, we don't want to scare our children of their abilities, because we come into this life with so many natural abilities. And no problem. I'm sorry, I'm probably totally destructing your name, Dunya. It's no problem at all. I'm just trying to be careful with my words, and I also don't want anyone to think I'm ignoring them. But so children are born having this connection to the other side, which we, as you know, we teach our children from the time they're born, and even in utero, like how like this patriarchal society runs, and we program them by this, and it scares them out of their abilities. So working with children is so important, to not scare them from their abilities, to remind them that they are so perfect and so, you know, pure and whole, and they carry this light within them, and this connection to the goddess that will protect them. And Haley, I'm going to answer your question in just a second. I always kept a big piece of amethyst next to all my children's beds when they were growing up. And you know, this really, amethyst is great for psychic protection. So children are so open, and they have so much power. So reminding them of their power, you know, you could teach them the meaning of the pentacle and teach them to draw that pentacle with their finger in their hand and connect to the elements through drawing that image, and it will connect them to the Divine Mother, and she will protect them. And always letting your children know that this, it's okay to say no to adults. It is okay to come to you with anything. Opening those doors is so important when you give them these tools of protection, that they also know who safe adults are for them to turn to, because you are providing that safety for them. So I think a good way is to teach them what the pentacle means, and to teach them to draw that in their hand. You can also teach them to bring their hands to their heart and to say, I am protected. You can teach them to create a bubble of light around them, connect them to the elements, teach them about the elements, and then, tell them they have the power to call on those elements if they choose, especially if you're raising your child as a witch. These are all very important things. If you're not a witch, a great way for them to protect themselves is to get an amethyst to sit by their bedside, a amethyst piece of jewelry to wear on their hands, or black tourmaline. A great thing to do for your children as well, to keep their energy clear, is to keep a piece of selenite in the bedroom doorway and also under their bed. Then that selenite constantly clears energy. So I really like to teach kids to use selenite and different crystals like amethyst, but also to remind them the power exists within them. So whether it's the pentacle, a different type of rune, a protection rune, maybe you draw a protection rune with them. Like, there's so many ways in the craft to be able to empower your children. Okay, to Haley's question, I seen it pinned for a second, but hold on, let me scroll back and read it. I find it hard seeing anything cause. I have no imagination, but I did see the cauldron with fire in it. Did you see it? Haley, is your question, did I see a cauldron with fire in it? I worry when I can't visualize things, it will make my spells and grounding not work. That is not true. So not everyone is visual. We are all very different. But if you can feel the visualization, does that make sense? If you can feel it, when you are reading a book, can you visualize with your ability to feel, like what a setting or an image, like you create that image of what it looks like when you're reading a book? It's like a feel-see. So a lot of witches with abilities don't actually see in their mind. It's like a feel-see. And I do both. So I don't know if there is another word other than feel-see, but either one, like whatever your way to, and I call it envision, or feel-see, or sense might be a better word. Like if you can sense that cauldron with the fire burning under it and the water in it boiling, creating you can use your mental abilities and your senses to bring that forward. So when I say envision, it doesn't mean, yes, more like clairsentience. Yeah. You worry you're not good enough. Remember, there is not any good enough. Every witch has different strengths, just like every human has different strengths. So we have these celebrities on our planet, or even athletes and singers. I always use like Celine Dion as an example. Like, everyone can sing. We all have the potential to sing, but we are not all Celine Dion, right? Does that mean we should not sing? No, we should still sing. It opens our throat chakra. No matter how good you or think you are or you're not, you're all gonna have. Why did that just stop? That was really weird. We are all going to have specific abilities that are stronger than others. You'll find those that are strong for you and learn to lean on those. You don't have to be any particular thing. It is healing yourself to feel that power that exists within you. That's the most important thing. So doing some healing work to where you begin to trust yourself and that you are enough, whoever you are, every day, in every moment, that is enough. And I do see on TikTok and Instagram, different platforms, these witches that are kind of making people like gatekeeping things like, you can only buy your oils from me and I'm the only one that makes good oils. And it's like, okay, lady, this is like so patriarchal, like salesman crap. Like, there is no witch of all witches, and you don't have to be of a, like, you don't have to be Celtic or Strega or, whatever these witches are telling you. Like, you need to be you. You need to trust your power. You need to follow the call of your heart to the mentors and the teachers and the authors of books that you feel resonant with. Do your best to respect and honor the craft and the lineage of everything that is connected to witchcraft and paganism. So by doing that, like, you are empowering yourself to trust you. We have been so conditioned to have a church or a religion that tells us, like, gives us, you have to do A, B, and C to be good enough and make it into heaven. When we have to get that entire mindset, that entire program wiped out of us. You are enough because you exist. Because you exist, you are connected to the Divine Mother of all life, the creator, the source of this planet, whatever that is, whoever that is. When you wipe out the old programming that there are rules to follow that make you enough, there are rules to follow to make you the most powerful witch. Like, when you wipe that out, then you become, and only then will you become the most powerful witch you can become. So these witches that are out there telling you that you can only buy their oils because all of the other witches are stupid and don't know how to create them. I'm just using this for example because it's something I seen happen on Witch Talk this week that I was like, dude, like, why do we have to perpetuate the wound? Like, that division, that type of division and guru mentality creates more of a problem in the craft than anything. And so support other people. Yeah, there are people that are preaching things that I don't think are true, and people that are not like bringing living their craft, right? But they're calling themselves a witch. However, it doesn't mean that we go out and attack these people or try to make ourselves better than them. Try to make other people see us as better than them. Just because I'm sitting here talking to you, just because I have the following I have on TikTok, does not make me any more powerful of a witch than the witches that are the priestesses in my coven or the witches that are joining my virtual coven. I believe we all, and some of us have, the most powerful witches out there do not have any following at all. We all have a different path. And the witches that are screaming at you that they have the knowledge and the only knowledge and you need to do it this way, those are probably wounded people. They're really wounded and really want to be seen, because in the craft, you should be able to be uniquely you. We all have multiple, most of us, not all of us, have multiple bloodlines running through us. It is, might have a lot of Italian, a lot of Scottish, a lot of Irish, a lot of that in me. But there are people that are just Irish and just Italian. But there's more of us, I think, like me, than that are just of one particular bloodline. And what that means for the craft is that we have multiple things in our DNA, multiple connections to different lineages, because we have those multiple bloodlines coming through. And so it's important that we honor and respect the lineage that we are learning from, that exists within us, that we try to learn the ways of those particular lineages and bloodlines that live in us. But because we're a combination of so many things, each of us, we are going to be pulling from different lineages in the craft, because witchcraft spread around all the world, and paganism really was all over the world before the conversion was pagan times. So what that means is you have folklore from different parts of the world influencing the craft in every part of the world. And then you have mothers and fathers that are, English and Welsh and Celtic and Irish and, all the different things. And so it's important that we have honor and respect, and that we are informing ourselves, that we're open to learn from those that are 100% of those bloodlines that we hold. And it's important that we are not lifting those witches up that are trying to put themselves above other witches. We just need to focus on the witches that are bringing people together. And, all the witches that are in the chat, like, go follow each other, because that's how you make friends. That's how you create community. We really need to create community on these apps, because we are still the minority as witches, and so most of us do lack community. And so we're trying to create a healthy community on these social platforms, and not a community where people bully each other, or we have, it's really that mean girl thought of consciousness that is making these particular witches, they're wounded in that way, and they think they have to be the it girl for people to trust them or something. And so they do that by putting others down. Putting others down makes other people believe like you do, Haley, where you're like, what do I have to do to be enough to be a witch? If you know you're a witch, then start studying the craft, start practicing the craft, and support the lineages of the area of folklore that you are learning from, and remember that you're enough just because you're here. We're all wounded. Thank you, Marjorie. We're all wounded in one shape or form or another. And as long as you're doing your shadow work and you're doing your best and you're learning, like, you don't have to have any particular ability to make you good enough to be a witch. You're good enough because you are, and you're a witch, and you are on this planet. Like, we each have magic. I learn from the women every day in my virtual coven. I don't know everything. I'm open to learning from other people. Nobody has all of the information from every pre-Christian community of people. And so we're all learning. And really, when you start to look at all the different cultures, you see the same things are being practiced. They're just slightly a little different. I have a Native American mentor that's a witch, and she always brings that up. Like, a lot of things that the Native Americans do, the witches do in different areas, but they do it slightly different, and depending on the area that they live in. And I really feel that is like something, when we're talking about cultural appropriation and stuff, that's really important to focus on, is that when we're talking about appropriating others' cultures, we're looking at religious beliefs and how, what are you trying to perpetuate that you're watching? Who's teaching you that? Are they giving you permission to do that? Are you respecting that culture? Are you learning from people of that culture? I've heard a lot of people online recently, like, bashing white women for saying they're witches. And it's like, the word witch originated with the white women. There are, witches of all colors, but the origins really of witchcraft was in these different areas like Scandinavia, in these European, Ireland, Scotland, these areas. And so, like, as the witch wound became a thing, it spread. I always call it like a pandemic across the planet. And because it spread across the planet, any type of, and I'm using this word broadly, it depends on where they lived, what they called the feminine spiritual people. Like in Siberia, it was shaman. You know, it might have been in North America here, it, you know, might have been medicine woman or medicine man for the Native American people. There was a different word for it. Witchma was in Poland. And, you know, there was just different words, right? Strega was in Italian, but everywhere, because the witch wound spread, it had originated in like Germany, all these different European areas. It did initially start with the white people. And so it's not that the white people need to be like, witches are only white, right? Because the witch wound spread across the entire planet to where anybody that carried these gifts and abilities that were called different things in other places on this planet were now all the witches, right? So witches come in all shapes and colors, in all lineages, because of how the witch wound spread like a pandemic across our entire planet. And that's why we have Christianity in every aspect of our, like every country, everywhere on our planet, is because they sent out missionaries to convert people across the planet. And they did a good job of it, because look at the thousands of years of conditioning and programming and patriarchal life that we are living because of that. So, you know, on this topic of, am I enough? Am I good enough? Am I of the right lineage? It's like, this is a conversation of respect. This, even in witchcraft, are you respecting witchcraft by studying what it is you are calling yourself as witch? Because there's a lot of people out there claiming they know what a witch is, and they just started identifying as a witch a couple years ago. And so maybe their message is coming across twisted, like that person who was like, I'm the only one that can create oils. Like, I don't mean to turn anyone against her, but that is like, please stop doing that, because that is making other witches insecure, like Haley, who was on here saying, am I good enough? You are good enough. Just keep reading and practicing and respecting and honoring and doing your best to honor the craft in the best way possible. You are enough just because you exist. Not because you're a witch, not because you're a Christian or a Catholic or anything. Everybody on this planet is enough exactly the way that they are. And yeah, some people are acting evil and some people are acting shitty, some people are acting demonic. It's because all humans are wounded. But everyone, is usually doing the best they can. Even the narcissist, even the evil people and the demonic people, they're all coming from a wound that never had an opportunity to heal itself. And it comes with a lot of shadow work to be able to have that complete understanding and empathy towards even the assholes on this planet. Believe me, I have hatred and anger for people that are perpetuating wounds on this planet in a big way. I may have empathy that they have a wound that they never healed, and that's what created them to be that way, but that doesn't mean I'm not pissed about it. Doesn't mean I'm not gonna fight you. Like, we have to rise up and speak up against them. But we were all born enough. And, sometimes on TikTok, different witches sharing their wisdom and stuff. Hi, Jillian. They do make us feel like we're not enough. And my hope is that you never feel that way coming on here, because I want you to know that the magic exists within you. Who you are is enough. Remembering you're a witch is enough. So I kind of went on a tangent there about that, but I was seeing, a lot. I'm really grateful that, given the way that my journey on TikTok started, like initially when I got to on TikTok, like they were trying to shadow ban me immediately. And it sucked. I almost didn't come back on TikTok and completely froze myself out because of the other witches that were attacking me. And now it seems I've come to this place where, there is a lot of drama on TikTok, but usually they are not sucking me into it, and I'm really grateful for that. But I do see the drama, I am witnessing it and seeing it. I know there's been times, I know Bree Witch really got it handed to her because she took a stone from Scotland. This was like a year or so ago. People were hating on her for that. It was the top news and in the witchcraft witch talk community, and it was really sad to me because I realized at the root of Bree Witch's story, a Scottish person actually gave her that stone. So, should we take things like in Hawaii? The Hawaiians ask you not to take any stones, so I never take any stones from there. But if she was in Scotland and somebody Scottish gave her that stone, is it okay for her to take that stone? I would assume so, but people were really attacking her for that. So you have to really, I guess, use your discernment is what I'm saying, because this week when I seen this witch who was like basically saying, I'm the only one that can create oils for you, and if you put glitter in your oil, you're not making real oil. And it's like, just because one witch doesn't want to use glitter doesn't mean another witch isn't completely connected and maybe the creator of glitter, right? I actually learned recently that glitter's not good for our planet. I don't even know how, but any witch, like what goes into a personalized witch's, someone that is making oils is a lot of work, a lot of intention. And no one witch holds the power to say, this is how you make your oil and the only way you make your oil. So if you were part of that, I want you to think about that, because you all of you on here, if you're a witch, you can make your oils. You don't have to turn to another witch to make oil for you. It's great. It's made of plastic, can get food grade glitter, and it's fine. Oh, okay. I didn't know glitter was made of plastic. That's interesting. That's probably why she was saying that, but there is food grade glitter, right? And as bad as plastic is for our planet, I think the person that probably invented it didn't realize how bad it was, right? And we're all learning as we go. So, someone might connect to glitter and someone else doesn't. And that's okay. And like Margie said, there's a food grade glitter. But the thing about it is that there are these witches that are making you feel like you're not enough, or that as a witch, you have to turn to other witches to make this stuff for you. And I'm here to remind you that you can make the oil. Like, I'm not going to gatekeep all the spells and the secrets and stuff. Like, of course, I may have my things that I make that I don't share everything with everybody with, but if people ask me, what's in your oil, I'll share with you what's in the oil, because you can make it yourself. Every witch has different power, different strengths, different connections to different elements and different plants and different spirits, and that's what creates the magic in the oil. So there's not just one witch that you're going to get the oil from that's going to change everything in your practice. What's probably going to change everything in your practice is you creating the oil. It's not getting it from this one witch. So, some of this stuff on Witch Talk, I guess, I was bringing up Bree because, she made a public apology and everything for taking the stone. I believe she even sent the stone back to Scotland. And I felt really bad for the way she was being attacked, because, I thought when she said, a Scottish person actually gave her this stone, I was like, dang. Like, I would assume, you know, I have a Native American mentor that's witch. And, you know, there are things that I've used my discernment. You know, she's told me I should be sharing all the rituals and ceremonies she's taught me. I won't, because I respect the culture too much, and I'm not Native American. And until they are not oppressed the way they are oppressed, I'm not sharing their medicine. They need to be the ones sharing their medicine. However, like, you know, she has given me all of these like abilities, wisdom I carry because of what she shared. Is that no different than the person who gave her the stone in Scotland? So I think, you know, we get on these bandwagons and we all want to hate the same person, right? But we have to remember there's a real person on the other side of it, and we really need to look at what that real person is doing, what they're trying to accomplish. And, you know, in certain situations, people are hating someone. I'm like, maybe that person, you know, and then there's another person like, you know, this witch that's saying, you know, she's out there saying like, don't, but everyone that makes oils other than her is crap. And I'm like, dang girl, like that's pretty ballsy. That's pretty ballsy to say that, because there's a lot of powerful witches out there. 200K likes. Thank you guys for the 200K likes. Be humble in your practice, I guess, is what I'm getting at. We all have wisdom and power and knowledge to share, and it's all valuable. You know, as long as you got to use your discernment though, because there are some people out there, you know, not everything you see in witch talk is perfect. Yeah, it's an ego thing. It worries me for the craft as a whole though, and I really try to be careful with my words on my live, because I would never want to make anyone feel like they're not enough, or that they have to do something in particular to be a witch. You know, the wisdom exists within us. One of the witches, She-Wolf Tarot, who's taking my courses, was telling me recently that like in her, she reads tarot and has people follow her on TikTok, and that she was saying she found in a lot of the classes I teach a lot of the same things she shares with her collective, that community that follows her, and how amazed she was. And I was like, well, I'm not the only, you know, that's what we have to remember about the craft. Like, we aren't the only one who's holding this wisdom. Hopefully we're not, right? I want everyone to carry the wisdom, because we need massive change on this planet. If I'm the only person that carries the wisdom, then nothing's ever going to change on this planet. People are just going to come to me. I don't want everyone coming to me. I want everyone to learn the craft and to share the craft, and for women to become like supporters of one another, not haters of one another. So thank you guys for the gifts, and thank you for hearting the live. Do you have any more questions for me before I go? What can I tell you about the fairies on your island? Well, I don't know what island you live on, but I do personally believe in the fae. Thank you, Susie Q. And I know every culture has a different belief in the fae, like the Scottish, the Irish, even the Italians believe in the fae. The Italians believe that the fae are spirits of the plants. And you know, there's a lot of lore out there around the fae. I always tell people this, because people are like, the fae can be shitheads, they can be assholes, they can be tricksters, they can be this or that. In my practice, my experience with the fae as an energy is that they appear as an asshole or a trickster sometime because they are protectors of our Earth Mother. Ultimately, I believe in their realm, they are protectors of the Earth Mother, and they can tune in to us and what we are doing. And so when they play tricks on us, sometimes they're just being playful, connecting to our inner child, and other times they can be ferocious and scary, and that's because usually they are protecting something that you are not honoring. So I don't consider them bad, I consider them protectors. And if they come across as bad or feisty, there's something, a shadow you need to look at that you haven't looked at. Or, you'll know the playful energy when they're hiding something from you. Maybe you're connecting with one particular spirit of a fae that is, trying to awaken your inner child to get you to play more, or something like that, compared to the energy of, oh, this energy is trying to hurt me and it feels like the fae. Well, that's probably because you are not honoring the earth in some way. How do you know when you're dealing with the fae? Sometimes people won't know. Sometimes you can just have attachments and people will put that on the fae. For me, there is this, I guess it's just a knowing within me. And if people are describing, I guess, the different type of energy, I would say it's more of an entity that is an attachment that is negative. If you feel something trying to harm you on what I would call a physical level, if that makes sense. The fae, you know what? Oh, I can't say the word. But I do have to explain more about the fae, you would have to look at my, sorry, I'm getting tired, I'm blanking on the word, and I can't say certain words. Marjorie, do you know what I'm trying to say where I write about the fae? I can't say that on TikTok right now, but I have written what I can't say. It's available to people. Hopefully Marjorie's typing it in the chat. Yes, and where they can find that, Marjorie, is on I write that on my, and where they can connect to it. Because I have an entire article, that would be another word I can probably use, an article where I have written about the fae, because the fae actually, and it would take me another half an hour, I'm not going to stay on here that long, but the fae were actually seen as a lineage of people, and they were overtaken and pushed underground, and so there's a lot more to the fae than what we think. And actually the fae being little fairy-like creatures that we see, that image came from Shakespeare. I love that image, I connect to it, but I believe the fae is, they are on the spiritual plane of existence and are, they can be mixed up with entities that may attach themselves to you. But the fae, I believe they have the energy, even if they're a male fae, they feel more like a feminine ferocity to them, if that makes sense. The fae don't feel evil to me in any way, if that makes sense. Am I making sense? If you feel something evil in your field, it's not the fae. That would be an attachment that you got from somewhere else. The fae, you can feel them in your field. You're going to feel them in nature. You're going to hear them, sense them in nature. Usually not in your house unless you invite them in your house or in your space. But when you are walking in the park, walking outside, if you have a yard that you're not tending to and you go out in the yard, or if you're picking picking weeds, the fae may actually tear your hand out, cause you to pick the weed that is tearing your hands up, because you're not honoring, that every plant has a purpose. The only reason we call it a weed is because you deem it not important, or it doesn't look good, but that plant has a spirit, and so the fae are kind of the protectors of that spirit. So if you are, Tabitha, going about it like you're protecting your yard and caring for your yard, if you look at the origins of us creating our yards as aesthetically pleasing, it was a common thing in the past to establish social order. Like, we are the rich people, the poor people live over here where the yards aren't manicured. And so even if you're manicuring your yard, make sure that you are, showing honor and respect. That's where you give offerings to the Fae, especially if you are a witch. If you're just a regular human, the Fae are likely, they could be interacting with you and you don't know it, but they're trying to get your attention. If you're a witch, you are expected by the Fae to honor the earth. So if you aren't, they are going to kind of show up a little fiercer to you, like, hey, you know better than this, right? And actually, there is beauty in unmanicured yards, letting things grow wild, and not in a like dirt. I'm not saying be like dirty and all of that, but like every plant, I've realized, even ones, because I live in Arizona, so we have a lot of rocks, and they'll spray for what we call weeds, but they're just plants that we don't want growing in our yards, right? Like, remember that you can go out before you spray for those weeds and say, energy of all the plants that are going to be sprayed in my yard, pull back your energy, because we're going to remove you. And I do believe the spirit of those plants can pull back their energy before you rip them out of the ground. So it's certain things like that. Leaving offerings for the Fae is kind of an offering for, like, help me, work with me in the yard here. They'll help your plants grow, they'll help your trees grow, your herbs, everything like that. So, I could go on and on about the Fae, but I feel them really as protectors of the Earth Mother. And so they're usually responsible or part of, like Marjorie was just telling me, she had some nightshade, or our coven, she was telling, popping up all over her yard. And I think that's partially because of her connection to the Fae. Like, I think when we are honoring the earth, they're also working with the plant spirits, and there's this symbiosis that's happening, and they're creating more beauty and more of the plants you want in your yard. And actually, if you pay attention, those plants, their spirits are truly alive. And to just throw a plant away is throwing away the spirit or the essence of a plant that had life. And I get it, like, we've got to do certain things, like pick up weeds and leaves and stuff, but as long as your heart is in the right place, and a simple saying within yourself, like, pull back your energy, or the leaves that you're scooping up, like, leave some if you have a manicured yard, like, leave some at the base of the trees to go back into the earth. I know a lot of us are throwing those leaves away, but they have nutrients that returns back to the earth. And so, I believe those are things that the Fae are protectors of. And the Fae are stronger in different areas than others. I believe in Arizona, in like a really dry area like I am, you really have to invite that essence here and spirit here, because I don't believe it's natural here. But if you call them there, they will work with you. I feel like, they like you to do things like composting, 100%. I believe if you live somewhere that is near water, or like somewhere that has a lot of foliage and plants, that's where they originate from. So to call them in, if you live somewhere like I do in the desert, like, you're asking them, or New Mexico, you're asking them to come work with you, and they can help you with the plants and stuff. So I do believe there's an entire realm of the Fae. There are a lot of entities out there that are just different dimensions, that, like, different channels on a TV that we have not picked up on. And the Christians would like to call all of those things demonic. Anything that is not of their religion, that is an existence, that's an energy, is demonic. And I'm not of that train of thought. Like, I have what they call haunted dolls. I consider myself a spirit keeper. Like, if there's dolls that have spirits connected to them, as long as they're behaving in a good way, they're welcome to stay in my home. Like, I don't cast all spirits out of my home when I do a home cleansing. I ask the spirits that are benevolent, that are good, to remain in my home. And I cast out the spirits that are not walking with me in a good way. The thing is like all the dimensions exist here, and sometimes you, depending on your frequency, you're picking up on a lower vibrational dimension, and that's how you're actually attracting those things into your home. So keeping your frequency high allows for your home to feel like a safer space, because all of those realms, whether they're the realm of the Fae, the realm of the ancestors, the realm of the stars, like they're all like the same TV with hundreds of channels, right? That, like, we're living on a plane that has 100 channels. We're tuned into this channel that we're on, this frequency, but there are 100 other ones. The more sensitive you are, the more you're going to be aware of those realms. So sometimes when you are casting those spirits out, you're just closing down your ability to sense the other dimension, if that makes sense. Now, that said, there is also energy attachments that will be on this plane of existence with us. Those are what you may want to clear and like cut out. Next time you're on a live, can you do a topic of different house cleansings? Absolutely. I've been on here 3 hours today and my voice is getting hoarse. So next Sunday, I will talk more about house cleansing, spiritual Pisces. Thank you for giving me that idea. I would love to talk about that. So I will be back next Sunday at 10 a.m. I'm going to say farewell for now. Yes, I'm going to go drink water. Thank you all for being here. I hope you have a beautiful day. Go follow me if you haven't followed me. Thank you for all the hearts and all the gifts. Blessed be. Thank you for all of you that maybe you're here every week and I don't know you by name. Like, thank you for being here. I know a lot of you show up every week and I thank you. Go support your fellow witches on TikTok that are walking with you in a good way, and support each other, because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the algorithms. So go connect with each other. Those of you that are in the live, create community, because we need each other. But thank you for being here. Thank you to my moderators, Marjorie and Rebecca and anybody else that was on the live. Spiritual Pisces, you're moving soon, living in the same place for 10 years. Ooh, that's a big one. So we'll talk about house clearing next Sunday. I will be back here at 10 o'clock. Blessed be. Have a beautiful day, witches. So much